Welcome to the channel, everyone. All right, so for those that don't know, I'm Lenny. This is the Lenny Works YouTube channel. I'm currently sitting on Little Red because this bumper and my garage door work really well. So today is gonna be a quick video. Like, try to keep it at like 5 minutes or so. Not a huge video. I probably won't even put the intro in it. If you made it this far, I probably didn't put the intro in. We're gonna talk turbos real quick. So, anyone that's been following the build knows, I recently sent my turbo back. I had a VS 8596 T6 with the 132 back housing. I had the original design. I say that because I'm not sure if it's the first gen, second gen, or when that iteration of turbine wheel or compressor wheel, excuse me, was made. I had the 6-blade compressor wheel. It hurt the car a lot, like 100 plus horsepower with more PSI. As you guys know, I generally don't discuss horsepower numbers because then people can put calculators together and figure out how fast the car is. So we're not going to talk specific numbers, but what we're going to say is on 16 PSI, the 8102 VS that we had before made 125 more horsepower than the 8096 made on 18 pounds. 125. So I called up, we had ordered the turbo through Summit, as I've already told you guys before. So I called up Summit. They said, hey, it's used. You got to call the dealer. Okay, understandable. So I called up Vren, and I just want to be very clear. Vren has been very helpful. He's actually the reason we were able to exchange the turbo in the first place, because he called and approved the exchange. Well, they called him, but anyways, again, super helpful. This isn't any crap talking. This is informational based only. This is data I have that is backed by other individuals that have seen the same result with this older style 85. So like I said, on 16 PSI, we were down 125 horsepower over the 8102. Now, you're gonna say, well, the 8102 had a bigger back wheel. That should have made it worse for the 8102, not the 8096 or 8596, excuse me. So on 22 pounds, we were down 90, 85, 90-ish. So still close to 3 digits worth of horsepower on 22 pounds of boost. So when I spoke to Vren, we went through all the standard, is it this, is it that, could it be this, could it be that, and eliminated a lot of that because I do have the data from before. I also have the fact that the motor's running healthy, everything's checks out compression-wise, you know, the tune spot on. Dennis has the tune within 1%. Closed loop corrections, like 1% was a lot. We were at like 0.3, 0.4, all the way up until the fuel pump took a shit. And then it went to like 60 something percent correction, and it tried to max out 210s on E85. So, which pump situation is already taken care of. I can actually put a clip in here. No, I'm not going to do that because, like I said, I want to keep this video short. 750's in the car. Check my YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook videos up. So, called the Vren. Basically, it boils down to that 6-blade. 6, count them. If you have a 6-blade 85, it is not designed for lower PSI. It is super inefficient under about 25 pounds of boost. After 25, it wakes up. My motor being a stock bottom end Gen 3, I'm really not trying to push 25, which is why I went to an 85 so I could make more horsepower on less boost. Try and keep the motor happy. Trying to keep the rods in the motor and trying really hard to keep them from looking like an S shape, especially considering we're going to be going K. So I want the motor in one piece. However, I would like to be able to say the motor is capable of doing this type of ET. It is healthy, everything's good, and try to ideally sell pretty much everything as a whole package to someone. Maybe not necessarily the turbo kit, but the parts that surround it, the turbo, the intercooler, all that stuff. I mean, the headers, crossover, all that stuff, you know, whatever I can package up to make it go faster. Plus, I had a goal for the car with this motor combination, so I'd like to still achieve that before I get rid of it and go to a different motor. So, sitting in front of me is this giant monstrosity of a turbo. This is a 7-blade VS 8096. Yes, I'm still on a VS turbo. No, I do not personally have any issue with VS turbos themselves. I think that there was just a lack of information regarding the 85. And that's kind of why I'm making this video, so that if someone goes looking for some information on the 85 like I did, they have something to kind of look at. Now, I spoke to Jack Roberts at Squirrel Tuned. He also mentioned that he had a customer car that picked up significant amount of power on lower boost with the 80 over the 85. I have a buddy out of Michigan who also went from an 85 to an 80 and picked up quite a, actually, sorry, he went from the 80 to the 85 and had to use 6 to 8 more PSI to run the same mile an hour out the back. So that turbo, again, and I spoke to Vren, and it boils down to the compressor wheel is just an old design. They do have a new design out, and I'm sure if I had been able to acquire the newer design, I'd probably be happy with the turbo. But because I did have the older design, and we were down significant amount of horsepower at more PSI, I just wasn't happy with the turbo. It wasn't what I was looking for. And again, the data wasn't out there to tell me that's how that turbo was. Unfortunately, it was till after we had pressed buy. So it is what it is. We can't do anything with, I don't want to go based off hearsay. Not that I don't trust the individuals that I spoke to, but I needed to try it out myself and see if it was just a couple of bad ones or if it was a consistent thing. And like I said, after speaking to Vren, that old wheel is just not as efficient. So again, if you have a 6-blade 8596 from VS, you are significantly working that turbo, or the motor, excuse me, not the turbo, but you're working the motor significantly harder than you need to. You could be making the same power, if not more, on less PSI with a different turbo. Again, another VS unit is perfectly acceptable. I have no issues, clearly. I have one right here. If VS had a 62 with a backside that was adequate for what I'm trying to do with the K-Series, we'd probably put one on there. They do have a 6782. That's probably going to be a backup turbo / grudge turbo. I will have a class legal turbo, and then I will have my all out balls to the walls, hope y'all can keep up turbo. That's literally what it's going to be. So again, that'll probably be a VS unit. I have not heard anything here nor there about it, but I do know the K-Series likes the bigger back wheel, so we're gonna go and try that out. Behind me, over there, kinda, I got the intake elbow. It's tapped. Actually, probably going that way would have been easier. You can see right there. The intake air temp sensor is in. I have it pretty much flush mounted inside of there, so it's not poking too far in. It's not sticking out at all. The entire sensor is inside the elbow. So that's good to go. So that's gonna go on. Turbo's gonna get mounted, and then tuning, and then test hits. So that's gonna be it for this video. Again, this is just informational. If you're looking at the VS85, if it's 6 blades, stay away from it. If it's a new 7-blade design, try it out. I don't have any data on that specific turbo yet. I haven't had the opportunity to test it myself. I'm solely speaking about the 6-blade 8596. It's just a less efficient at low boost turbo. So, as always, comment, like, share, subscribe, get up and get after it.